What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl, it's Leanne. It's Shedding into Soul Culture podcast 29. I have one of my soul family members and beloved friends, Mark Caron, here with me from Conscious Living Radio, Conscious Living Network, and main thing that he does so well with that's coming up in November is spirit plant medicine. So we have the event coming up November 1st to 3rd. Um, It's going to be the 13th Spirit Plant Medicine at UBC here in Vancouver. And Mark's here to tell us a little bit more about what's going on, what we can share, what we can network with. Maybe there's some tables there for people that are looking. And just give us highlights about the speakers and what to expect.
Well, thanks for having me on your podcast, Lan. It's always a pleasure to share some time and space with you. I appreciate your willingness and desire to share the work that we're doing. And, I stepped into the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference in 2017. It was kind of a brainchild of our mutual friend, Andrew Resmer, who does a lot of great work in the consciousness space with Conscious Living Radio, Conscious Living Network. And Spirit Plant Medicine was really something that came up for him pretty much 2010 after his experiences with plant medicines, how it helped him shift his consciousness, expand his consciousness. And he saw the healing potentials and abilities for people using these for, in many cases, ancient sacred plant medicines, as well as psychedelics in general. There's a big renaissance going on right now where psychedelics are taking the forefront and the front stage in regards to healing and transformation from spiritual to trauma to PTSD and depression and so many other things. And, the conference is really designed to bring in world-class experts and researchers, shamans, Indigenous elders, and so much more to really inform people about safe use, the benefits, and, really what people need to be aware of, what they need to know as psychedelic medicines start hitting the mainstream. There's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of great questions out there, and I think it's really important to be informed before you make the decisions to use these things um, in a way that may be foreign to many and to most, because it's not just a recreational party drug. So, that's really what the conference is about in a nutshell.
Yeah, I was there last year, and audience, the speakers, first of all, it's transformational stuff that you hear, and people that dedicate their life to plants, or transformational healings, or their personal legacies and their divine callings. And then, music and entertainment, and um, just great leadership that's out there that helps you to feel a little bit more reflective, kind of like riding a bicycle for the first time. If you see somebody do it in front of you several times and you don't have to fall the first time, I think that's the benefits of coming out to this event, is just getting educated and having an opportunity to grow with, I mean, this is a 13 year now, and the database has been, a nectar of information, and in a beautiful scenery. UBC is a place where people learn, and it's an intelligent place and space where there's a vibration where we get to grow and exchange energy, along with leading these things that were taboo or hidden, as medicine workers or healers for centuries. So, Mark, yeah, tell me some of the lineup with speakers and what to expect.
Well, we've always been blessed. Stephen Gray, my partner in organization for the conference, who's been there as part of it since day one. He started the first year as a speaker, and then he accepted the role of being our curator for our speakers. And over the years, he's done a fantastic job of bringing in experts from around the world. For example, last year we had Gabor Mate, Paul Stamets, and that's just two, and I use those names because they're big names that are highly recognized. Yet we also work with a lot of the people who are not necessarily at the forefront in a public way, yet do great work with everything that they do. This year we have Rick Doblin, who's the founder of MAPS, a multidisciplinary association study for psychedelics, and we're really looking forward to see what he has to share. And we're actually doing a podcast with him this coming Tuesday. So that's going to be really exciting because I've never spoke with him before myself, and I think there's a lot to learn.
Mm,
Work with a lot of the indigenous people. We have people coming up from South America and Mexico to share their work because, these medicines are not new. If you take a look at mushrooms, ayahuasca, peyote, and Pedro, and a number of these plant medicines, the indigenous communities have been using these for years in ritual use and ceremonial use for
mm,
spiritual practices and things of that nature. So, there's nothing new. And what we want to do is bring research because the Western mind wants to know the science behind everything, whereas, historically, the science was kind of known innately in a way, the way these plants communicate to the shamans and the elders of the tribes of North America and South America, of course. So, this year we've got Keisha Lewis is coming back. She's a young woman who is brilliant. I believe she's got 2 master's degrees. She studies Buddhism and she does a lot of work with the sacred mushroom, being psilocybin. We have Marco Sanchez coming back, and he speaks about Shipibo Cosmovision and the technology, so more of the science behind the plants and how they work and what they do. We've got Sandor Ironrope. He's a leader of the Native American Church, where he does a lot of work with peyote. We have Josh and Kelly, who are craft cannabis medicinal growers, grown under a light with synthetic fertilizers to maximum yield and maximum dollars. So, they grow medicine versus grow for the dollars of it all. We've got great music with Theta Phoenix, Shine Edgar, Curtis Andrews. Chris Bache is also coming back. He's a guy, if you want to learn more about him, we did a podcast last week. You can see it on our YouTube channel, our Spirit Plant Medicine YouTube channel, where this fellow, as a professor of basically religious studies, he went on a mission where he did 72, maybe 73 high dose LSD journeys from the perspective of a philosopher, and what he got from that and the message he got from spirit, from the universe, from himself, I would imagine, are really quite impactful. And I think everybody who's interested in this kind of work should read his book, LSD, Minds of the Universe, Diamonds from Heaven. It's fantastic. And then we've got, who else we got? I'm just looking at my list. Rob Laurie, he's going to come in. He's a lawyer in the cannabis and psychedelic space with the indigenous peoples as well. Does a lot of great work. He's going to be talking about what's happening with the law and legality in regards to these substances. Dr. Osiris is coming. Sutton King, Don Chabello, Kenneth Tupper, Dominique Morisano. We've got a great lineup this year, and we're really excited in what they will be sharing. So it's always a great roundup. And one of the things that is unique about this, it's a conference, yet it's really a ceremony with a conference within it. And what's unique about it is it's not just for doctors and therapists and psychiatrists and researchers. This conference is for everyone, for the seekers, for the shamans, for the people underground, to bring community together. It really is a community driven event, and the connections that are made are phenomenal. I know that we're going to be doing a program in a couple of weeks in the field of ketamine, and the work that's being done with ketamine as a psychedelic for helping people with anxiety, PTSD, and things of that nature. And there's 2 doctors who had met at the conference and created a whole new protocol and really a business around their passion for health and wellness. As well as I also met a couple just last week who met in 2019, and what they have done in the past 5 years together in terms of consciousness studies, consciousness research, and working with people. She's a doctor and he's a self-made guy who's been working in addiction recovery and things for a number of years now. And the work that they're doing in community is beautiful. So those are just a couple of examples of the things that happen. And I know relationships have been made in many different ways and the networking, the people you meet. It's really nice to be able to connect with like-minded people as well as get your questions answered if you're curious. So, it's not just a conference, it's an experience for sure.
Yeah, I can agree to that. And there's just so much love that's gone into the work that you're doing to follow through in these last, how many years now you're with Conscious Living Radio?
Since 2017, so I'm on 7 years now with Conscious Living Network.
And this was a firebomb for you, really, like the shift of taking over that position and leading it. And I commend you for that and your niche and your growth and that development audience. It's very important to honor the people that are putting in the soul work and that make this happen, which I believe is an energy field because I create energy fields with meditation. And I really feel Mark has the ability to create a field where there's transformation. And I really feel he sets intentions while he's doing this when he's with people. So listening to you speak, I commend you and I hear you. And I also see, from life experience, working and chasing these beautiful aspects of life, whether we're in the market or the spirit of nature is allowing us to understand what we need to do better for nature when we're in the market. What are we selling? What are we doing? What's our purpose? And I really feel like this is an event where you get to tap in to reflect, are you putting something back into the earth or into the community that feels purpose driven, that feels transformational? Is there somewhere where you can grow in yourself?
Well, I think that's what you're saying there is quite important, regardless what you do in life, because, a life without purpose is barely a life at all. And I think that when we live a purpose-based life, then we will have a much more fulfilling life. Doesn't mean that we don't, have challenges or, obstacles, because, I think it was Norman Vincent Peale said, show me a person with no problems and I'll show you a person in the graveyard. Problems
Mhm.
are a sign of life. It's how we show up to them. Yet if we're purpose driven and we know what we want, and we are connected to our own values and beliefs on a conscious way, then we can definitely interact with people in a much different way, as well as we always find the solutions to our perceived problems. John Lennon said, there are no problems, only solutions. I had it backwards there. But it's important to see that anything that comes up, it's what do we do? Do we work through it or do we just let it happen? And when you're purpose driven, we work through it. And I think that it's really important that, we find some sort of purpose, because when we contribute, when we do things beyond ourselves, that's where the real magic happens. And I always say to people, if I'm coaching or whatever that is and they're in that place, I'll have them go volunteer somewhere, because there's an opportunity that when you selflessly give of yourself, that something shifts within us, and it's much more of a spiritual type situation that happens. And this is the thing with the psychedelic plant medicines. And Stephen Gray and we often talk about following the golden thread. If you had asked me 10 years ago that this is where I'd be, this is what I would be doing, I would not have said that this is where the path I was on. Yet the plants have a different path. They know what they're doing, and if you're listening and they're talking to you, you better pay attention. And this is something that I found to be, something. It's a tool. Psychedelics and plant medicines are simply a tool. They're not the answer to all your problems, but they are a tool for helping us get out of our own way. They shift our consciousness in a way that opens up more awareness of maybe a connection to nature, connection that we don't normally. Monkey mind and a reptilian brain get in the way. And to me, it's kind of like a rocket ship to awakening. It certainly can help. And I believe that, plants are the best pharmacy. This world today, our current situation in the West, pharmaceuticals have overtaken um, good health. And we saw that during the pandemic, where There are so many people just talking about good health and strong immune systems, yet they're getting canceled. Why is that? It's just logical and it makes sense. Yet, when you're pushing a pharmaceutical, especially unknown pharmaceuticals, that can be very dangerous. And nature is the best pharmacy, whether it be a psychedelic or a psychoactive plant. If you want to change your life, change what you eat, change what you put in your body. Because even, RFK Jr. right now, not that I'm getting into politics, but he wants to make people healthy again and bring awareness to what's in our food, the chemicals, the dyes, the preservatives, all these things that are messing up our life and our bodies and our lifestyles because we don't even
Mm,
know what we're putting in our body anymore. And then we wonder why we have so much chronic disease in both, really North America and, the westernized world. And just because I say Western doesn't mean West as in North America. It means in these, other civilizations and, areas and countries that subscribe to the same thing. But if you go to the UK and you go to other European countries and you go to other countries in the world, they don't have the same kind of crap in our food. And the best thing, if we look at what we put in our body, look at nature. We are not designed to be eating so much crap, so many chemicals, all these things I just mentioned. So all plants are medicine and all plants have a spirit. And I know, Leanne, based on your spiritual beliefs and values and experience, that you would agree that plants have their own spirit. They are living things and they
mm,
will talk to you. If you listen to the stories of the shamans, how they hear the plants tell them what to do. This is how they discovered ayahuasca with over 15,000 plants in the jungle. How did they know to mix two things to get the experience that they had? Same as
mm,
combo. How did they know what to do there, or bufo, or many of these other natural medicines? How did they know to do this? Because they were in tune with nature. They were able to bridge the gap between heavens and the earth and spirit. And the cleaner our
mm,
vessel is on this planet, which is the antenna to everything else, the better we will be equipped to hear those messages. But if our body's polluted, then we don't hear them, or it's much more difficult to hear them, or you might get a glimpse of it. So, there's a lot to be said within that, and it's
mm,
about how we use these medicines for our growth and transformation.
mm. Yeah, and I've done so much more deeper dives with yoga and pranayama and many students going through a lot of healings that other than what I know, the beauty of these medicines or even breath and sound therapies, how they hit the meridians in our body and how we transcend into a natural shift and feeling like, am I in the right atmosphere? Am I in the right place? The purpose-driven energy comes from that intuition, that internal dialogue with spirit. And then spirit medicine will help us connect better to spirit. So I really feel it's a place, like I said, it's going to be a beautiful field of energy of a collective community of people that are continually doing the work to spread these beautiful messages and to hold space for the next person who's going to need that remedy, right?
Yeah, I want to circle back to what you just said about breath and yoga and things that are so part of our natural being, in my opinion, because the most important thing in life is breath. It's the
Mm,
one thing we cannot live with for the least amount of time. So you got a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes without oxygen, 3 to 5 days or weeks without water, depending. And again, when you talk about yoga, there's certain ways to breathe within yoga. And again, we have conditioned ourselves to breathe short and shallow. Most people don't do deep dive breathing quickly. We're ventilating, getting anxious, and everything's going on in our head where things are changing. Yet if we take that moment to stop, to connect with ourselves and take a deep breath, changes everything. And I've had psychedelic experiences just doing breath work. I've had psychedelic experiences with, as you were saying, with sound therapy. So
Mm,
there are ways to activate our pineal gland in different ways to give us that connection. Yet we don't typically do it because we've been so conditioned to think that we want a pill to fix everything. And at the end of the day, it's like, are you solving the problem or are you just treating the symptom? In most cases, these medications and pharmaceuticals are treating the system, or sorry, treating the symptom, not solving the problem. And
mm,
I think this is one of the reasons why we have, such a pandemic of, mental health issues these days,
mm,
because we're not getting the proper guidance and support that we need to navigate through our lives. And
mm,
everything just gets medicated.
mm. Yeah, and meditation is the answer for medication. So I know that stillness
Hey,
that,
that
dropped
even
into my
rhymed.
life. That's well, it's the scientific thing that proves every time life is better observing, but that stillness that we get and that inner merge, it gives us balance to this expansion of energy that we have with the Divine Mother and all of that ability to create desire and to create. Is that we get all this desire and we move all this energy as human beings, learning and then unlearning and really coming back to that meditation, I believe is the greatest medication. So on that note, what's the price on these tickets to come in? What are people expecting at the door? And is there any booths for sale?
We froze up there for a sec. Before I get into all of that, the other thing I think that really needs to be mentioned for anybody who may be listening and watching this and go, that's interesting. What more do I need to know? What's the important basics of, working with these medicines? Well, first off is always choose a great practitioner. So do your research, find out where you're going to sit, because you always want to have a sitter. And you can now do therapeutic and clinical type work with different organizations, whether it be with psilocybin or ketamine specifically, even MDMA through MAPS. And there's people out there who do this work. So you want to make sure that you vet them and you're working with the right people, because like anything, there's corruption, there's better practitioners than others, and you don't want to be sitting with someone who went down to Peru for a week and sat with the shamans and think they can serve ayahuasca. It doesn't work that way. A true carrier of medicine has done their work, has done their training, has spent years in the jungle and dietas and so many different things. And it's important to have a safe setting. If you're having a really bad day, don't be doing psychedelics, because they're an amplifier. They are an amplifier, and whatever's going on within you, they will amplify. And
Mm,
you want to be in a safe space. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're safe, you won't be interrupted. You know, Psychedelics and things can get a bad rap when you see them in the festival scene and you see people out there, literally abusing these things, um, because, they're not particularly focused on dosage. We have saying, you know, go slow and slow. You can always add more, but if you the ride, you got to go through the journey. And so many people, when they're in a recreational space, they don't know. They just keep eating mushrooms or doing too much, and then they get all whacked out. And that's not conscious use of these medicines or of these plants. So it's
mm,
really important that regardless what you're doing, that there's an intention set, that there is a mindfulness, there's a conscious awareness. You're not just doing this to get high and party. That's a very, very different thing. Um, and I'm not going to say that there's no space for recreational use. I think that these can be a very powerful tool in a recreational setting, in the right set and setting, with conscious intention and the right people, because there's nothing worse than you know getting to a point um, where you're not comfortable or you're not in the right set and setting with the right people, and that could lead to what people would consider a bad trip. So like anything, it's about responsible use. So we have to
mm,
treat these things with reverence. We have to show them the respect that they deserve, because they are very, very psychoactive. They are very powerful, and it's something to not be taken lightly.
Yes, just like energy healing. So I hear you. I just did my Reiki masters, and it's been a beautiful like 6 months of training, and I see it like the gradual process is so much better. So yes, audience, anything that you are doing with great reverence and dedication. I mean, same with my lineage of yoga since I was 15 years old. So I'm at a stage right now where, the things that I was wondering 10 years ago and the things that happen are at such a different, beautiful peak of integration that it's all a process. So come into a healthy atmosphere where we will have a chance to grow together, and I'm sure the music's only getting better because musicians only get better and things just get better every time. So being the 13th year, it's more polished and it's
Well,
deeper.
it's not about being polished or anything of that nature. I believe in an organic, authentic approach to things. I don't like things being overly professional, over in your head, all left brain. It takes a natural flow out of things that way because things become too rigid. So that's
Hmm.
one thing. But you said another key word that I wanted to touch on, and that's integration. Any work that you're doing with any of these medicines, and this is one of the ways how you would kind of weed out your leader, your practitioner, your that is, there needs to be proper integration pre-ceremony or pre-medicine work, and integration and pre-integration really means planning, preparing, educating yourself, setting your intentions, doing the recommended dietas, because there are certain dietas and things that they don't want you eating or consuming or putting in your body before you do this work. Really important for the safety and the efficacy of these medicines. And the equally and most important part, even more important than the journey and the experience itself, is post integration. Is how do I take what I've learned and experienced and the insights that I received from this, and how do I integrate that? How do I bring that into my life and make that part of my everyday? Because if you
Hmm.
just do this as a weekend thing, hey, I'm going to go sit in ceremony. Oh, that's great. I'm going to go sit with the medicine. And great experience, yet you go back to your Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and you don't change anything, then your journey was for moot. It might have been a good journey, might have been fun, you might have been getting high, though that's not what the intention behind this work is. So if you get the insights and the messages come to you, how do you integrate that into your life? That's one of the, if not the most important part of the process, is to be able to apply what you've learned. We love to say education. We love to educate people, give them information, knowledge, and things of that nature. Experience is the best teacher. So the ceremony, whatever that may be, that's your experience. And then it's transformation. How do we take the education, the experience, and turn it into transformation so that we can live a better everyday life ourselves? And if we're lucky, we can help share that in some way just by the shift in us. And I find when I change, the people around me often do as well because they see something different in you, and then it inspires something in them to create some change within themselves. So it's really important to wrap those three pieces together, because one without the other does the whole
So
synergy.
good.
We
So
have
yeah,
to
so with wrapping this
really
up right now, let's think about what can we do to reach more people and to getting into this location and what the costs are to come in. And if there's any booths also, maybe there's other people out there that are into this realm of work that don't know that you exist, that it might reach.
we do, we do have some vendor space available. If you are interested in being a vendor, just visit our website, spiritplantmedicine.com, and you can excuse me, you can register for being an exhibitor or a vendor. We are limited. We're getting pretty full. If you're interested in attending, you can join us online. Just visit our website. It starts, our tickets right now are discounted at 25% off. So you can go take a look at the pricing there. There's a code on the site. But if you use Leanne's code, you get an extra 10% off, which is, I believe, what did I say that was BLIST?
List, BLISSD.
I believe so, yes. And that'll
Yes.
give you an extra 10% off. So take a look for the link somewhere she's got, wherever she's going to put them
I'll
down
put a
below,
link in for you guys.
wherever it
Yes.
may be. and you can join us there. If you're interested, we always like to say, bring a friend. Tell a friend, bring a friend. And if you're going to bring a friend, use code SPMC241 and you will be able to bring a friend for the price of 241. You buy one ticket, basically you buy two tickets, get the second one discounted.
Mm.
And then that's something you can do, but it's not advertised. There are things I give away to reward people who actually watch programs like this. So if you're interested in bringing a friend, our goal is to make this information, these experiences affordable to the masses. This is not an elitist club, and non-accessible is not acceptable. So we do our best to keep our prices as low as possible and have as many people there as would like to be there. So that's really about it in a nutshell. We have a YouTube channel that's got a number of great videos on there. You can watch past presentations. We have a membership site on our website that'll give you over 300 videos and past presentations from really 13 years of everything we have in the can. And really, it's just about being part of it. Now, for those of you watching who are not local to Vancouver and travel and time is of a, at a premium, which we do understand, and it's a 3-day event, we have put together, we do two things online. So we have a live stream, just a basic, what you're watching here, somewhere out there, flat and, fairly generic. And that is your lowest entry point in terms of price. We also do what we call a virtual interactive event. And that event is designed where we actually come into Zoom, we stream the conference into Zoom as a feature presentation, and it allows people who join us in there to connect, communicate, see each other. Everybody has their cameras on. We put it up in the hall so the speakers can actually see everybody in the virtual platform, and they have an opportunity to ask Q&A. We're bringing in a couple of guest speakers in as some surprises for the people online so that they get some bonuses. And for the virtual attendees, we actually send a little ceremony pack because we do a cannabis event on Saturday night. So if you're in Canada, we have gifted cannabis that we send out to people so they can join us in the ceremony. And if you're in other parts of the world, we actually send cacao. So there are many, many different ways to participate. The price levels vary. And the most important thing is that if you're interested, we really love to see you here, whether virtually or in person.
Sounds so good. So good to be with you. I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to bring a bunch of friends, students that I'm guiding also through different levels of meditation that want to have new experiences. So they're looking forward to meeting with wonderful people that are going to be in the atmosphere. And I send that out to the whole yoga community. A big thing about teaching people is also helping them have great access to great events like this. And because they're looking within, they'll have a chance to really meet the right people in the right atmosphere. Mark, so good to be with you, my brother. So good to be with you. So grateful, so thankful. And thank you to Andrew Resmer for his blessings for us to do this work to shed as much as we can into the community.
Thanks, Leanne. Always a pleasure.
We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.